Today we're going to look at web scraping as an introduction to larger web sciences that we'll be covering for the next couple of weeks. So web science is the larger field that which basically analyzes, looks at a variety of information from the web. So that includes obtaining, of course, that information through different techniques. And that main technique that we'll be looking at is web scraping. And that's basically the focus of today, how one can go about gaining information from the web in an automated fashion, and using essentially tools that allow us to get lots of data from the web relatively quickly. So Python has a number of tools for this, and there certainly is more than just one. But the main tool we'll be using today as a demonstration of web scraping is called Beautiful Soup. So it's mentioned here in this library, so I've already installed it on my system. Beautiful Soup is basically a web parser, web scraper kind of tool that allows you to sort of gain information and then, of course, sort of do something with that information, break it up, do something where you can begin to utilize it in some way, are among the kinds of techniques it has. It's basically a way for you to gain information from things like HTML sites or even sites that have other ways of encapsulating data, so through databases, through more active kinds of sites such as JavaScript kinds of websites. So a number of websites and a number of ways in which they can encapsulate data using databases such as the JSON libraries or data structures, as well as oftentimes you'll see data that's relevant encapsulated into just general HTML. And so today's example, we use HTML based kinds of web scraping. So HTML is still utilized by certainly a lot of websites. It's still the primary way in which web data is displayed. Certainly there are other ways now, and we'll talk about this next week when we talk about websites in general. But for today's lesson, we're going to look at how some websites like the PAS website used in archaeology can be scraped very quickly, and a variety of information can be then grabbed. And specific information, say information about objects that might be contained in one of the websites or one of the sort of links within the PAS website. So the PAS website is a website that is used in the UK to basically record a lot of finds, often through metal detectorists or metal detection made by people around the UK who then report these finds. And a lot of these finds, of course, have GPS points, so one can then determine where these finds are, have pictures of what those objects are, and also descriptions of what those objects are. So it becomes a kind of database, or a tool at least, where a website where you can grab information and make a database perhaps out of it. So that's one reason why you might want to use that website. Now, to get into Beautiful Soup, it's actually a very, very simple tool. This is among the easier things we've done for the last number of weeks. So you can see we start off with basically a URL, so a link to a website. So this basically takes us to a web page that has some objects, and we can go to it now just to start up this website. So if I start up my web page, I go to what's in the link, we'll go see what's actually here. And so oftentimes you'll see that it basically has a kind of page, a description of items, and pictures of these items. So there's a number of information we can grab. We even have location data. Other kinds of things can be found, including other links to other pages that one can potentially sort of go to from here. So it's a typical kind of website that the PAS or Portable Antiquities Scheme offers. And so we can also look at things like the source of the page, and so that will allow us to then determine essentially how information is encapsulated. So that's one thing that we will be doing, is looking at the source so that we can begin to sort of understand how essentially information is encapsulated through these websites. And we'll do that in just one second